Okay, so I haven't really been putting many reviews up, mostly due to my job, but that does not mean I have not been seeing new films. I've actually seen quite a few over the last couple of months, one of which I did review, which was Catching Fire, but there's at least 4 others that I'm going to try to review now. Well, not The Hobbit, because Lynn's actually going to review that, but I am going to review 3 of the films that I have seen this past fall today. I'm just going to get them out of the way and upload them in the coming weeks, but let's just get on with it. First up, I went to see Riddick in about mid-October. Riddick being the 3rd installment in the I guess the Chronicles of Riddick series. I don't really know, or the Pitch Black series. I don't really know what the series is called. Riddick, obviously the character played by Vin Diesel, very beloved, kind of iconic character. He's a mass murderer who's on the run from the law, and he can see in the dark, and I don't really remember why he can see in the dark. And he's become this kind of cult icon. Like, he's had a video game series, he's had a comic series, like an animated film. He's had all this stuff. Fans of the series basically love him. Now, here's where I come in. I have never really been a fan of the Riddick series. I saw, is it called Pitch Black? I think it's Pitch Black. Years ago. I didn't really care for it. I skipped Chronicles altogether. And I so did not want to see this movie. The only reason I went to see it was because Lynn and Brendan, who are fans of the series, coerced me into seeing it. I had no strong feelings one way or the other towards Riddick, and that continued after I had seen this movie. This movie is not going to convince anybody who has not been a fan of Riddick up until this point to be a fan. In fact, this is actually going to push fans away. Lynn and Brendan actually came out of this movie hating it. Absolutely despising it. The first half of the movie is just him wandering around the desert, looking for, I guess, where he is, looking for ways to survive. It's a survival story against this hostile world he's not familiar with, these creatures he doesn't know. There's not a whole lot of dialogue that happens. The only thing that is like his inner monologue, which is, I mean, it would be okay if it wasn't Vin Diesel's voice. Like, you know Vin Diesel. He's got like this really scratchy, deep kind of voice, and it's like, oh, I gotta listen to this for an hour and a half. And then once that's done, the second half is essentially a reboot of the very first movie with, people coming in to look for him, and then he's hunting them, and the hunt begins, and yada yada yada. One of the main characters is the father of a character from the first movie that went insane. Another character is from Battlestar Galactica, and I can't believe I pulled that one out of my ass. These characters have no real depth to them. The soldiers have nothing. 2 of them aren't even really named. The mercenary group, might as well just call them Thing 1, Thing 2, Thing 3, and so on, because there's no distinguishing characteristic between any of them, aside from one's kind of smart, and the other guy's this really young, really religious kind of kid that I keep expecting to get brutally murdered in some way, but oddly enough, he never actually dies, which is weird. Women are essentially non-existent in this movie. The few women we see at the beginning of the film are basically these naked whores that Riddick is sleeping with. We got some kind of prostitute woman on the mercenary ship that ends up just getting brutally murdered. And we got Dahl, who's played by the Battlestar Galactica character, who is a kind of like tough-talking Michelle Rodriguez kind of character, who's a lesbian, but Riddick's like, I can change that. And I guess he does at the end. I don't really know. That's a big problem with this film, is that it's misogynistic as hell. There are no real likable, strong, determined female characters. I mean, Dahl is, but even she's kind of, resorted to this kind of... She's not really referred to as a person by a lot of these characters. She's just kind of a sex object. And it's... Apparently that's not the point of Riddick at all. Like, when Riddick says, like, I can change the lesbian thing, like, apparently that's not supposed to be his character. Like Lynn went on Rampage about how he's normally very respectful towards women. Like, in the first film, like, there was one girl who was, like, it was really strong, girl who didn't need no man, and he was just like, smart and strong, I like that in a woman. And apparently that's thrown out the window now for no real reason. The story, there's really no story here. It's basically 2 hours of wandering the desert and killing people. That's it. I don't really remember the last two films, but I thought there was some kind of a story there. There's nothing here. There's nothing that's really going to grip audience attention or make them think, wow, this is a really good movie. It's not. Like, nothing happens for a good hour and a half, and then the next half is just mindless killing. I don't understand how anybody can really walk away from this film thinking, yeah, that was a great movie, because it really isn't. It's a misogynistic, boring mess. Like, I almost fell asleep halfway through. I kind of wanted to leave. I don't know. It's not a film that I would heartily recommend, even as a fan of the movies. It's like, I don't know who the writers for this movie were, but they either didn't understand what they were writing or they just didn't care. I mean, I get it's been a while since the last Riddick movie, but come on, if you're going to make a comeback here, you got to put in some effort. There's no effort in this film. None. I mean, the CGI looks kind of cool at times, but that's about it. And you see I'm kind of struggling for this review because there's nothing to this movie, really. There's really nothing to review. It's 2 hours of wandering and killing. I mean, that doesn't make a successful movie. That doesn't make anything of substance, you know? So, yeah, I can't recommend this movie. I don't know anybody who really can recommend this movie, and you should probably just skip it. That's really all I can say about this one movie. So, yeah. On to the next.
If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, a favorite, subscribe to the channel, post it on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Google+, Reddit, something awful, spray paint on buildings, make a flag of it, get it tattooed in your forearm, get it branded into your forehead. This is SickSlickProductions saying keep the spirit of the movies alive.